Hello, I'm the Toycat, and welcome back to the video. Today we're talking about controller support on the Pocket Edition version of Minecraft. This is some of the games actually had for a little bit of time now, but I really wanted to dig into it to give a guide on exactly how it does work, because it's obviously not going to be quite like just playing the console version, but I want to know exactly how good it does work. So today I have both a guide on how you can connect a controller to Minecraft iOS. It's the harder of the two, it's a lot easier on Android, but also I'm going to be giving a guide on exactly how it does work when you do have a controller connected for both platforms, because that's something that I feel like isn't really gone over in these videos that really should be gone out there. So hopefully you all do enjoy the video talking about controller support. If you do, like the video, let me know, because it helps out the channel a lot, and let's maybe do like these kind of in-depth videos where I talk about something like this, because I know a lot of console players do think, oh yeah, it's really cool doing this on the console, but sometimes I just want to play survival games on the server, and I do have a tablet, or I do have a phone. How exactly do I make that work? Is it really fun? Is it easy? Can I use this controller and that controller? And when it comes to iOS, it's actually kind of tricky to get things set up, because you have to use a Bluetooth controller. So let's just get straight into the guide on exactly how that does work, because I have myself a Moga Elite. It's one that's set for iOS, and you can see this is Minecraft Pocket Edition running on an iPad Air 2. It's the one I use for mobcross streaming, and that's the only reason I have it, really. But yeah, basically this is the iPad Air 2. As you can see, it's touch. Now I hook up the controller, I turn it on, and as you can see, boom, now the controller is controlling the screen, and isn't that just wonderful? So yeah, in case you are wondering, this is the controller I got working. As long as it's Bluetooth and it says it's iPad and then or iOS and your version compatible, it should just work just fine, and it's actually pretty easy to get set up. However, there is one big problem with using Bluetooth controllers that no one mentioned in any of the videos I looked up before I bought this, because it's a big purchase. That's something you've got to realize. It's literally almost 10 times the cost of the game just to buy this controller, so you are literally, Minecraft Pocket Edition is pretty cheap, but still, you got to really kind of consider this for quite a few different things. And one of the things that no one really mentioned is that Bluetooth isn't the best way to have controllers hooked up. There's even though it works most of the time, every now and then the connection will just drop because, I don't know, Bluetooth interference or something. I'm really not sure what it was, but really, the connection between the controller and the iPad, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't like on a console where you just expect it to 100% work. It was just like every now and then it would drop. And that's after I got it set up, where I'd have setup issues. Every time I'd have to reset it a few times just to try to get it to work. Again, there's a few kind of issues of that, but that's just my particular model. I think a lot of that is Bluetooth, but I think some of it is the Moga Elite, and I definitely would not recommend that. By the way, this isn't a sponsored video. I can say, I really don't recommend this controller. If you can find a cheap controller, definitely get that one instead, because, you definitely don't feel the value in any part of this particular controller. I think it's just marked up because you'll be like, oh, well, this is the only one that seems like it's 100% working. I think there are other options out there. This is just the only one I tested, and I'll probably end up returning, honestly, because it's such bad value for money. But leaving that aside, let's talk about how it actually interacts with the game itself, because you've been seeing me play this whole time in the background. But let's talk about how it actually looks, because for the most part, when I'm playing, it does look like I'm just playing the Pocket Edition with touch, but there's no buttons, and that's the thing about the control support for this. So the control support for Pocket Edition is kind of like an afterthought. It's not a core part of the game. When there's a lot of things that you might expect from the console edition that just don't work on the Pocket Edition. So for instance, the inventory management, it's kind of weird because there's 3 tabs. It's not set up like the console where there is just the 2. There's one thing, because everything that they have set up for touch is still going to carry across, and that means using your inventory is kind of messy when it comes to doing that. You have to cycle through it a few times. For instance, there's a few situations where if you want to look at yourself in third person, you can't do that. The controls for a lot of different things, they're just slightly moved around because this is optimized for the Pocket Edition. It's just that you kind of have a controller which is kind of doing those same inputs themselves. So yeah, also keep that in mind that the controls aren't going to be 100% perfect. They're not designed to be. The game isn't designed to run a controller. It's just it has control support there to let you use. So anyway, I'm going to chase this guy now, and this is where you can really see the shining element of the controller, in my opinion. I think this is the one reason you might want to buy one, because it really does help you out in PvP situations. So player versus player is just awful on the Pocket Edition version of Minecraft, because of the fact that you have to trying to strafe and attack and all that stuff. It's really tricky to do all at once, and you can see most people kind of look a bit robotic and kind of weird compared to on the console and the PC, and this is where having a controller comes in. It's almost just like a weird unfair advantage for these specific situations, because when you're doing something PvP, or when you're doing something really stress intensive in a survival world, fighting a creeper, this is when you need a controller, and that's really what this boils down to. I want to kind of let you know all of that so we can lead into kind of the finishing thoughts here. How do you get a controller to work? On Android, it's pretty easy. Just get a controller, hook it up, plug it in there, easy stuff. But when it comes to iOS, the Bluetooth, I think, adds a tiny bit of delay to there. The fact that it drops every now and then, the fact that you're going to want to use touch anyway, because the thing is, although you are using a controller, there are so many elements where touch is just going to be better. So chess, for instance, if you want to get in there fast, you're going to want to use touch, and it's just easier than scrolling across the whole thing anyway. If you want to craft, it's probably going to be easier to use touch. When you have to type in the chat, you have to use touch anyway, and that's what makes me kind of leave it at this, where it's just yeah, the controller is a really cool tool to add to your Pocket Edition arsenal. Even the cheapest ones are going to cost you 4 or 5 times, the cost of whatever game. I think it's cool if you want to have one for just, I want to play on the go, and I want to play, comfortably, rather than having to touch, because, honestly, if you are someone who's grown up with a console or something, or a PC even, having real controls and switching to touch is just such a hard thing to grasp. If you're the sort of person that wants to just do that and have one anyway, it's a great idea. I'd say pick one up. Bear in mind it's not going to be exactly what you expect. Kind of lower your expectations, which is a sad thing to say. If you're doing this because you're like, this will improve my skills, this will make me the best, honestly, I think it's better just to try and learn to use touch, because at least you're using one system the whole game. Like I said, even no matter how good you are at this whole thing, it's always going to be faster to do certain things with touch, and that is a very bizarre thing to me. So yeah, this is a big PvP upgrade for Minecraft. If you're considering buying a controller just for Minecraft, you have to be really into doing these weird server things, and even then you have to really hate touch and really like a controller, and even then it gave me a nice boost, so maybe I was like 50% better, maybe double as good or something. And in terms of like the cost of the controller compared to that, it is kind of a big thing, and that's where I wanted to kind of leave today's guide. Rather than saying, hey, this controller company's hooked me up this thing and they want me to say this, instead I wanted to say controllers for Pocket Edition still aren't really viable. I'd say the keyboard and mouse support is something coming soon. That might be better because they're clearly going to be working for that, because the Windows 10 version does exist. However, controllers just, in my experience, have not been a great thing. There's so many issues with setting them up. It's so much of a price to dump down at first, and all of that doesn't gain you as much as you might expect. It doesn't turn into the console version. The console version is still so much smoother, and I don't really intend to play the Pocket... if I'm going to be playing the Pocket Edition, I might as well do that, but honestly, I'd be just about as fine playing survival using touch, and that's the big thing for me. So I hope you did all enjoy today's video. I hope I got my thoughts out in a coherent order. If you liked this video where I go ahead and buy something and review it in like a non-biased-ish way, like the video and let me know. Share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. Oh yeah, this particular controller, don't buy it. It's a Moga Elite, but there's a bunch of controllers out there. There's one by SteelSeries. As long as it's Bluetooth and it says iPad compatible, it should work for the Pocket Edition. Please don't make my same mistake, because I don't want the company to have more money. Anyway, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.